Hello everyone and welcome to our ANZ Maths Beginner webinar. My name is Elise and I'm a teacher consultant and maths subject matter expert here at Education Perfect. I'm joined by my wonderful colleague Annie, who is also a teacher consultant and fellow maths expert. Welcome, Annie.
Thanks, Elise, and hello everyone. We're both really excited to be here with you today, whether you're brand new to Education Perfect or just looking to brush up on the basics. We're here to guide you through and make sure you feel confident about using EP in your maths classroom. We have a brief agenda for you. We won't take up all afternoon. Today's session will focus on the essentials for getting started with EP Maths. So here's a quick overview of what we'll cover. An overview on how to use Education Perfect, finding a lesson, assigning tasks, tracking student progress and growth, and we'll be able to amplify your impact with EP with some handy tips for making the most out of it.
So what is Education Perfect? Education Perfect blends technology, pedagogical best practices, and curriculum content to power a differentiated teaching and learning cycle. What that cycle looks like is that it's the ideal teaching and learning process for knowing and growing each learner. So while many teachers naturally engage with certain phases of the cycle, other phases might be overlooked or present more of a challenge. And by identifying these areas, we can begin to enhance teaching practices and maximize students' potential.
So today our focus is on the instruction and practice parts of the cogs that keep learning growing.
Okay, so we are now in the Education Perfect platform and we're going to be focusing on that instruction and practice phase of that wheel. So part of that is finding our EP lessons in maths. So there are two places that we can actually find content, and that was through our library area or our Discover area. We're going to spend most of our time today in our Discover area. So select Discover. Make sure that you've got the correct curriculum. So I'm going to focus on the Australian Curriculum version 9. Maths is selected, and then I select my year level. Once you've selected your year level, we've then got tiles that represent the different content. And so I'm going to head down today and we're going to look at this Pythagoras theorem tile. When I select the Pythagoras theorem tile, we're able to see that we've got the curriculum codes aligned to this, and we're going to preview what our lesson looks like. So I'm going to select this lesson here. Now some highlights here, we can see that we've got a little timer that indicates that this is an estimated time for students to complete this particular lesson. And then we've got some really core functions and features within each of our EP lessons. So we like to scaffold our lessons so that they progress in levels of difficulty. So students are introduced to a particular topic with slides and interactives on some of the slides. So here, this one here has got a little Desmos activity that encourages students to engage with that particular information. And then we've got questions. So the questions follow up on the information that has been presented to the students. So here we've got a blue pen question, which means that it is an extended response question. So it means that it's either got an interactive built into it, or it could be a written response. So that's our blue pen questions. Even our scratch pad questions might be blue pen, and they might not be auto marked. Our purple sections, or our targeted questions, are our auto-marked area. So here we've got lots of different styles of questions. And what happens is when students are engaging with these question sets, we want them to master that information. So really tracking the students' progress with question sets before we move them into the next piece of information. So really helping students master information before we move on throughout the lesson. So all of our lessons are structured very similar, and we also have a summary at the very end. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump back and we're going to showcase some of the New Zealand curriculum. So I'm just going to head into Discover. Annie, this is your wheelhouse.
Thanks, Elise. Yes, we have all of the curricula there available, and every curriculum area, even though maths is the same across all states, has different content. If we look at the decimals activity, and there were 19 activities, so we're going to take decimal place value at the top. You can see there it says 20 minutes, so there's our time estimate, and the curriculum outcomes are next to it for the section. This is our average, normal, everyday lesson, and you can see the scaffolding is there with the information section, and then straight into some practice and another information section, and then in practice. If we look at the whole number place value, you'll see in the number 2,867 which digit is in the ones place, but Elise has hit the refresh this question and the number has changed, showing you how our dynamic variables work. So every student will be getting a different number on their page. They can't sit next to each other and say, what answer did you get for place value 3? Because they actually have different questions. And this is one of the things that makes maths so good on Education Perfect, because you can set this as a knowledge check, a quiz, or as a mastery with repetition. The students can't memorise, they need to actually learn and understand.
So what we're going to show you now is the ability of assigning these wonderful EP lessons to your students and how easy it is to do that. So I'm just going to jump back into the Australian curriculum here, and I'm just going to select Year 7, and we're just going to jump into exponents here. And we're just going to jump into the first one.
It's very straightforward to assign. And assigning really helps with being able to track the data for the students later. Plus they get notification about it.
So we head up to the assign button, and we're going to assign this as a task. However, you can assign this as a really quick quiz, really great for formative assessment, really checking that progress of your students towards that mastery. But today we're just going to focus on the task.
As a learning task. Straightforward, 1, 2, 3. Who are we setting it for? When are we setting it? And we've already chosen what we're going to set. Now, sometimes we don't want to give the entire lesson. That one was 41 minutes, and I don't have 41 minutes, so we can assign specific sections by clicking on the lesson, and right at the top there you see the little blue bar. And we simply unclick what we don't want to give to the students today. We might give them just the information sections and then later give them all the questions, or we might take off an entire section altogether. And when we hit confirm, after we've unticked what we want, we'll see that the time estimate has changed. So we do still have a really good time estimate of how long it will take the students. Simple as that, Elise.
So easy, isn't it? Now, once we have assigned a lesson to students, we really want to engage with the data. So Education Perfect is tracking that students' progress second by second on the platform. I'm just going to show you a sample report now of what that will look like from a completed lesson that students have already completed. So here you'll see that the students were assigned to this particular task, and I've got some actions here that it's indicating, hey, this is somewhere where as a teacher you want to click on. And from here, I've already pulling out some insights so that I can really then target my instruction the next time around that I see those particular students. So I'll be able to see that some of my students are having problems with this particular section, or these individual students need some help with this material. That really helps with that targeted instruction, and then helps me differentiate how I'm going to approach the rest of my teaching sequence. We also have lots of other data points that are pulled. So did the students complete the task? How accurate they were? Now remember, that relates to that mastery model. So students will be completing those questions, but how long did they take in that particular targeted question set, and how accurate were they? So that gives you a little bit of indication as to how the students are progressing. Plus there are lots more information around how many answers, how many incorrect they got. We can boost engagement by sending them a little sticker, things like that. And when we come down here, we can see that if the students have played the consolidation game at the end called Dash, and then it's broken down into sections. Now, this area here is where I really love the data that's being pulled, because it shows me exactly what errors my students are making. So if I just click on this one here where it's got 67% accuracy, I'll be able to see mistake 1. I've got 4 students that made that exact same error. So that is powerful knowledge for a teacher to have, so I can go back and I can really consolidate that learning and go back and reteach or put in some interventions to make sure that they don't make that same mistake again. And then we've got some feedback and then how the students with their personal feedback as well. So there is lots to be able to pull out in our data reports, which really focuses on you being able to then target that instruction, differentiate teaching and learning, and personalize that for students, really working themselves towards that mastery in that particular concept. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump back to some slides and wrap up today's session.
Thank you for watching our webinar. And this is a great time for you to have a play with EP and have a think about what maths gems are you going to share with your students to amplify your impact with EP today.
Thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure.
Don't forget to join us for our next webinar, where we'll be discussing boosting student engagement in mathematics with EP's interactive tools.
See you then.
Thanks, Elaine. Bye.